Yes, we do. You know, the greatest, the
Big
GOAT
statement.
of his generation, in my eyes.
Big statement.
The most electric, exciting, well-rounded player in the NFL. One Mr. Lamar Jackson.
Mm.
Pay him what he's owed. You know, he's done more than enough. He's won an MVP. He's produced playoff berths. Pay him. Somebody. Not
Anybody.
You know, Trump pay him. Trump pay him the 140.
Oh no, Trump gonna give him that 130.
Yeah, Trump gonna give him that 130
Trump
and
gonna
cut
give
him out.
Oh, that'll suffice.
That'll suffice.
Mm.
But yeah, you know.
He is worth
Not the
130.
Trump impression.
But
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is up for a contract renewal. But just this past week, he released the announcement that he is finally seeking a trade from the Ravens organization.
that's happy.
It's definitely, the one organization who did take a chance on him while he was being, I guess, doubted by the other 31 organizations. So, it definitely probably put him in a difficult place. But, when it's time, it's time. When you feel like you're not getting what you deserve and they are not willing to, bend on that front, sometimes you got to leave.
Well, it's kind of hurtful. But the fact that he's requesting a trade to leave the Baltimore Ravens, I just feel like they had so much potential, especially with him leading the team at the forefront. And the fact that they don't want to pay the man, what he's owed or what he feel like he's owed, is a slap in the face because it discredits everything that you have done beforehand.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's like, so what I've done in the past is not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I've been, the rushing leading quarterback for a while now.
MVP.
MVP. I've been, throwing the ball at a high percentage. I don't know his percentages. I assume it's
Probably mid-high 60s.
60s, somewhere around there. But like throwing the ball with the best of them, strong arm.
Definitely.
And I know for black QBs at least, they always challenge like the intellectual aspect.
cerebral side.
But I always felt that he's just like
Above and beyond.
yeah, like he makes good plays. He makes very good plays, smart plays on the field. In my eyes, top 10 highlights every.
All time.
As Stephen A. say, he's box office. So in my eyes, I
Shout
feel
out
like
to Stephen A.
he sells tickets. He sells tickets, man. I don't see why. Like, because he's so marketable. In addition to that, I don't see why they're not willing to make that investment or make that bet on Lamar Jackson.
Well, I think, for me, I'm okay. Okay, the Ravens, they've had him for, 4 years now, coming up on 5. I could understand if they feel like their team is stagnant with him. I still don't think there's any team who would let their, 26-year-old star quarterback leave without putting up a fight to get them. So I could understand if the Ravens decide, okay, we don't really want to bring him back. But I think when a lot of the other teams in the NFL who are in need of a quarterback, when you have a former MVP who's in his prime, athletically, mentally, and you openly say we're not interested, I think that's the scary part for me. And it even leads me to a question of, if the Ravens don't want to re-sign him, if all the quarterback needy teams don't want him, where does Lamar go next year? Is he going to stay with the Ravens and just not play? Will he request a release and not play? Will he be, quote-unquote, blackballed from the NFL? If nobody wants to meet to his terms, will he, bring his requirements lower? I feel like Lamar's in a tough spot right now, and he definitely has some things to ponder.
Yeah, I think it definitely shows. I could be incorrect about this, but I think it definitely shows where QBs like himself stand within NFL franchise in regards to requesting max dollar deals. And the fact that no one is really willing to give him that. I could make the comparison of Cam Newton in a roundabout way. I think at a certain point, people wasn't really taking him. Well, they was taking him seriously. But I feel like after that year, they went to the Super Bowl. I think against the Broncos, I believe.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Cam is such an interesting character, especially in his later career, where he kind of started doing things his own way. He didn't particularly conform to what the typical NFL quarterback would conform to. He was obviously vocal, kind of a homegrown talent playing in that South, NFC South. And I think it's kind of, reminiscent to Lamar. He's kind of his own, a trailblazer in his own way. Obviously, for his athletic ability, there's, Michael Vick is probably the closest thing we've seen to him. But even in how he carries himself off the field, he has a certain swag on the field. Off the field, he's hanging with Kodak. He's he's at the gas station, posting, doing photo shoots and stuff. He's kind of like a down to earth type of guy. Not in the Hollywood Hills and not in Aspen skiing. He's doing things a different type of way than you would expect a multi-million-dollar man to do.
Yeah.
So I think in that same that vein that you bring up, him and Cam are kind of similar. And you could say Cam got kind of blackballed out of the NFL in a way. To not even be on somebody's roster, I think it's kind of hurtful to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna make I don't know how outlandish this claim is, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. Patrick Mahomes. I feel like he's deserving of $500 million deal for what, 5 years?
I think it was an extension on his current deal, so it probably would have been. Yeah, probably in that 7 to 8 year range.
7 to 8 year range.
Yeah.
And, I feel like he's well deserving of that. And he's proven himself. And I think the key word from there is he's proven himself. Now, the question is, what you can argue, has Lamar Jackson proven himself? And what I mean by that, Patrick Mahomes has gotten championships. But also, Patrick Mahomes had a very stacked team.
Most certainly. Yeah.
I can't really. I can make an argument for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, but I feel like with what he has and what he's been, having to play with, the cards he's been dealt, I think he's, in my eyes,
exceeded in my eyes.
He's, especially, and you brought this up a couple of conversations ago in the past about when he got in the league, the odds were stacked against him. They wanted him to play receiver or something else, saying that he wasn't cerebral enough to play the QB position. But despite all that, he played the QB position, and now those same analysts are talking about him in the highlights and talking about his game, talking about how exciting it is to watch and all that stuff. And imagine if he would have played something else. I'm pretty sure it still would have been like a wow factor in that sense, but it's not as wowing as it is now, if that's a word.
I think it's very motivating to see somebody like him, who had at that point going into that draft had proven himself enough to win the Heisman Trophy, to get the highest honor you can get as a college football player, and to still be doubted by the people who would, kind of control your livelihood. But to, look that doubt in the face, stare it down and say, I'm going to stand. I'm not going to waver on what you think my abilities are, because I know what I can do. And he did that. One team took a chance on him, and, he obviously went there, performed well, even got MVP, again, the highest honor at the highest level. For me, there should be no question about what he can do, how he can do it. He's shown you amidst the doubt, amidst the hate, amidst every single obstacle you could mentally throw at a man, even physically throw at a man, to have him be denied at these two stops. But I think that speaks to his persistence. I think it speaks to his strength and mindset and who he is, which is very admirable for him. And I think he'll get through this as he got through his first situation in the draft, out on top. Found himself at the top very often.
Yeah, like always with all athletes in that situation, I always wish the best for them, and I wish, I don't know if the players really come out and say this, but I'm not a player. I will say it for them. But we understand that the NFL is not as player driven like the NBA. And I feel like once the NFL becomes more player driven like the NBA and allow these players to actually control and dictate, have some say in their life in regards to their financials and what they're worth. Now I'm not saying that the guy that never gets in the game has that same power, but if you have a star player that you are marketing as like come to buy a Ravens ticket, I feel like he has some say in what he should get, especially if he's that guy. Like if he could be the sixth man, but if he's in a commercial or he's on a billboard or something like that, giving good numbers to the team, I feel like there's room for negotiation.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think even from like you said, a marketing standpoint, he's probably top 5 like marketable quarterbacks in terms of his play style, the numbers he puts up, his charisma on and off the field. He's just a very likable guy, and he does very little to bring a negative perception upon himself, which I think he's kind of getting for holding out on his desired negotiation, which I can't blame him for. Like, you've performed to a certain level, you believe you're owed this. That's fine with me. But I think speaking to kind of that leverage that the top NFL players have, I guess it comes with winning the Super Bowl is I guess the flag that you can hold against Lamar. Because I think he's done everything else.
Yeah, that's the only thing left for him to do in a sense is get a Super Bowl. I think just in any aspect of sports in general, you want to, if you're believing that you are that guy and you want that amount of money, I think just to be fair, you do have to win it all. Like in the NBA, to put a stamp on one's greatness, you got to win the championship. You look at Mike, you look at Kobe, you look at LeBron, Magic, Larry.
You gonna stick a little LeBron.
It doesn't stop.
Little LeBron.
Oh, I got to put LeBron. They got to put a stamp on their greatness by winning the thing that defines a champion, that defines a great player. Tom Brady, like his greatness is defined by his championships, his mindset, like to become a champion, like Super Bowl champion every year. Now I believe Lamar Jackson has every capacity. He has the capacity, the skill set, everything to be a Super Bowl champion. And I feel like that would just put a stamp on his greatness. Furthermore, he's already great. But like if he were to retire tomorrow, I'd be like, he had a very good career. But to put a stamp on everything he has done so far to solidify that greatness and to be talked about like in every room, every conversation. When you talk about QBs, he has to come up in that conversation. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, the guys. They're going to be talked about just because Peyton Manning. They're going to be talked about, but for I don't want Lamar Jackson to be that guy like Like, oh yeah, what about Lamar Jackson? You know,
Yeah, like even like you said, he's like a Mike Vick like type of athlete.
yeah.
Even the way we talk about Mike Vick is like, oh man, like what, we missed out, man. Like
Yeah.
you know, so I would hate to see him end up in that situation, especially with all the talent. You know, he's proven himself to be elite. Yeah, so we definitely want to see that situation resolved as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm sick of all these shenanigans, man, and that's going on with playing around with people's money, especially when they deserve it. But I wish Lamar Jackson the best, and he's a good representation of the NFL and all the more. But I believe that concludes everything we have to talk about today.
It does.
This has been an enjoyable, fun-filled, entertaining.
I guess.
Let me start over. This has been a truthful, entertaining, and valuable.
Valuable. Yeah.
Those three components. This is what this show is representing and going to represent more